Hello and welcome back to the Polis. I am Matt and I have Chris here joining me today. It has been a hot minute since we came out with a video, but today we are doing our favorite comic stories. So we're gonna just list off a couple of our favorite moments. And if Chris, you wanna kick things off with yours?
Right, my pick for story today is Final Crisis by Grant Morrison and I keep forgetting by Grant Morrison and yeah, okay, I think it was Ivan Reed. I can't even pronounce his name. I'm awful. Something written by Grant Morrison. Yeah, for my for my top five favorite moments, number five would be Batman in an insane asylum solving a Rubik's Cube in fewer moves than has ever been recorded before. He says that gonna look it up so I remember the exact. Yeah, I only have the omnibus, so this is gonna take well, look, Batman solves. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, Batman solves it in fewer moves than has ever been recorded by in human history. I couldn't find the exact number of moves, and I didn't want to look through over 1,000 pages. So
Yeah, no, that's a really good pick. I would definitely include that in mine.
yeah.
Uh, but so for my story, I chose DC Comics Injustice. Not the video games, but the story. And yeah, I really like story in this. I really like. It's just something about having heroes versus heroes. It really shows you what you would think heroes are really capable of doing. And so yeah, so I chose Injustice, and my number five pick is from year three, and that is Superman versus Etrigan. And I put that at number five because, well, one, Etrigan mopped the floor with Sinestro. It was my favorite. He had it coming. I hate Sinestro in Injustice. He's a menace. Um, but yeah, I really liked it because I believe it was Batman who was the current host for Etrigan after um, Jason Blood died. And so like he nearly beat Superman too, but like he instilled that panic in him of like Batman sided with hell just to beat Superman. So that is my number five.
Yeah, that was a pretty great moment. I remember that one. I think out of all out of all 5 years of the first Injustice comic, I think year three might have been my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because that was the one time Superman didn't feel completely invincible just for story reasons. Because they remembered Superman is supposed to be weak to magic, so they
Yeah.
decided to actually work that. And yeah, for for my number four pick, I'd go with Green Arrow sacrificing himself to buy time for Black Canary and the survivors of the anti-life equation to escape. It's just a moment I really liked. I mean, I love the whole thing with everyone slowly turning into slaves for Darkseid by
Yeah.
by forcefully having helmets put on that force the anti-life equation into their heads. Another moment that didn't make the list was seeing just how radically even someone as principled as Black Lightning changed when his brain got rewired. First we see him stop Tattooed Man from burning books because he's a teacher. He
Mm-hmm.
it's like burning a flag in front of a very patriotic guy. And then after he after he gets after he gets corrupted by the anti-light equation, he burns an entire library.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I picked the part with Green Arrow because I always like Green Arrow, and I like that didn't think he didn't think they saw him as a hero, so he decided to do the sacrifice play.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one too. My number four, I have in year four, I call it the prison break scene, where it starts off with Plastic Man, who's like literally shit talking the league, like right to their face, and I can't remember who did it. I think it was the Flash who had to like escort him out of the building,
Mhm.
and then so he then proceeds to I can't remember where the prison was, but he breaks into the prison, gets his son, and rescues a bunch of the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, and he
So
has
the
that
prison
moment,
floods at the end, but
and he has that moment where he turns his middle finger into the shape of a key and shows the
yeah,
security camera in the middle finger.
right. Like mad respect to him. So that's my number four.
Yeah, I love that moment. My number four, yeah, that was Green Arrow. My number three is Talkie Tawny, who's the tiger sidekick to the Marvel family. Uh, Usually he's portrayed as a tiger, as a normal tiger, but in the early 2000s they had him as an anthropomorphic tiger, as a humanoid tiger, and he gets into a fight with Darkseid's son Kalibak, who had built himself a new humanoid tiger-looking body
Mhm.
and had a whole bunch of bodyguards who were also tiger human hybrids who served him. And he Kalibak decided to pick a fight with Talkie Tawny, and Tawny tore he tore his abdomen out. He just clawed his stomach out.
Yeah.
And after a pretty lengthy fight, and then he figured, oh shit, now the bodyguards are gonna attack me. But instead, all the bodyguards just kneeled, and he just fixed his bow tie and and walked away.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah.
My number three is also from year three. Is the Corrigan fiasco. Also, when it was pretty much when the Spectre was sided with Superman, and like so, the reason why I have this so high at number three is because I really like comics that have really good twists in them.
Mhm.
And so when it was discovered who was it wasn't Jim, and
Mhm.
that at first like I thought it was going to be Joker. I think everyone thought it was going to be Joker because it has to be
Yeah.
someone who's murdered, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out it was I can't remember pronounce his name.
Mitchy Spitlick.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's like he took out some heavy magic hitters like Jason Blood, Ragman. I'm pretty sure he took out Deadman too.
Yeah, I
But
think it is.
yeah, so yeah, it's a really good twist in it. That's why I have it at number three.
Yeah, I was always a bit conflicted on it because on the one hand it made perfect sense. It was a really good twist and it really got me, but on the other hand, it just infuriated me because I always found him annoying.
Oh, he definitely is annoying, but it's just the fact that like, oh, it's Joker, and he doesn't deny, he just smiles.
Have you ever read the comic where Joker gets his powers?
I don't think so, no.
It's pure chaos, and then later they did a follow-up to that in the Superman Batman comic run that that did Public Enemies and
Hmm.
the Supergirl storyline. They did a follow-up storyline where Joker and Mixie created their own alternate realities just to mess with Superman and Batman, including a universe that was clearly supposed to be a parody of the Ultimate Marvel universe
Oh,
called the Maximums, where they had characters like Bugboy and Skyscraper, who was supposed to be Giant Man,
Oh, okay.
and Robot, who was clearly Iron Man.
Right.
Oh yeah, and Super Soldier. You can tell who he was supposed to be.
Real original.
And then they said, you just look at them. You can guess who we based them on. You guys. We totally based them on you guys. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's one of those characters that I kind of love to hate.
Yeah.
Like I was disappointed he only appeared in one episode of Smallville, and
Right.
yeah. Oh yeah, for my number 2 pick, yeah, it has to be Batman shooting Darkseid. Batman just when Batman pulls out a gun, you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just that, he pulls out he uses the same bullet that killed Orion at the start of the storyline,
Oh yeah.
which was really cool. And I think it's been a while, but I think the implication was that that shot ended up going back in time and actually hitting Orion eventually.
Oh, that's
Darkseid
interesting.
Darkseid manipulated it into going back in time and killing Orion, which kickstarted this. It's kind of a bit like Tenet when I think about it,
Yeah,
with the bullets going backwards in time.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
My number two is it's a wholesome one. It's the Green Arrow and Harley Quinn alliance.
Yeah, I love that one. It was
You like saved her from Superman and like just an unlikely duo. Like it's just such they just have such a good bond that they grow, and I really, really, really like that.
yeah, and I like that they actually decided to go with their idea of renaming the Arrow Cave.
Right. Yeah, and I really like how that was a little bit off topic, but how they really carry on with Harley's story going into Injustice too,
Yeah.
with uh with her kid and everything like that.
Mhm. I was actually surprised they did that because they retconned Scarecrow being dead. They decided to retcon that in Injustice 2, and they basically threw out all of Damian's character development, but they still kept the fact that Dinah survived. They kept Harley's development and
Mhm.
all that, and they even did a callback to Doctor Fate.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's interesting what they decided to keep from the comics and what they decided to ignore.
yeah,
So who knows? Maybe some characters that actually died in the comics can show up in the third game if they make it.
would be nice. Yeah,
Yeah. Still holding out hope for Tim Drake. I,
aren't we
I
all?
know I know Zod killed him, but come on.
Yeah,
Joker shot Scarecrow in the face and he made it in the second game. So yeah, so my before I go into my number 1 pick, I'm gonna have to go with an honorary mention that almost made it to number 1. It's Barry Allen coming out of the Speed Force.
mm,
And like it's kind of hard to appreciate now because Barry Allen is everywhere now, but at the time, Barry had been dead for 25 years in real time.
right.
Like he died in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he was just dead in the comics.
Yeah,
So this was a character who was supposed to be dead, actually coming out of the Speed Force and actually joining them for real, not just as a brief resurrection or a past version or anything. It was the actual character coming back,
all right.
and that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And so yeah, that almost made it to number 1. But my number 1 pick is Darkseid's speech. Not just what he said, but how when he said a speech through the use of the anti-life equation, he was speaking through almost every single person on the planet simultaneously. It was
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. That's definitely cool. Yeah, I do like a really good speech.
Yeah. And I like that Ray Porter, who played him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he did a portion of the speech on a podcast one time.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Uh, Before I do my number one, I'll go over my honorable mentions. And that includes the moral chess scene in year one with Flash and Superman playing chess. It's just a really solid moment. I feel like it's a really good conversation between them, kind of going over why is Superman, like, pretty much Superman going over his motives. And like I like how Flash is just like, at first he didn't know how to play chess either.
Mhm.
So like he teaches him how to play chess, and he's just checkmate after checkmate after checkmate.
Yeah.
Is a solid moment. Another one, year two, is Chip versus Superman.
Mhm.
Like, I love an underdog. So Chip being like the smallest Green Lantern, who was the one who nearly got him. Um, Another one was Dick Grayson as Deadman.
Yeah, I love that one.
That was it pulled on your heartstrings for sure. Uh, this one is from Injustice 2 in the comics, which is Wildcat versus Batman, who was later turned out to be Jason Todd. And like, just Wildcat has that stubbornness of like, you can do whatever you want to, I'm not going to die mentality.
Mhm.
Like, shot point blank in the chest, and he's like crawling out to him and still going. And he also beat him, like, severely beat the crap out of him in hand-to-hand combat. So Wildcat is the man.
Mhm.
And my final honorable mention is Hawkman versus Mongol, because
Uh,
Hawkman was like low key being bullied by Superman.
mhm.
Like, here, like, go and find the rest of the kryptonite. So after Hawkman is like presumed dead at this point, he shows up at the end of, I think it was year four, and shows up with like a kryptonite mace, was
Yeah.
ready to wreak havoc on him. I love that. But yeah, so my number one is my favorite out of all the years, and that is Black Canary for Superman.
Yeah, I love that one.
When she takes the super pill, like, she was eating the shit out of him
Mhm.
for like a solid like 3 pages.
Yeah.
She could have easily beat him too if he didn't have the yellow ring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are all my picks.
Mhm. Yeah, those were pretty good. Yeah, one of my favorite moments from Injustice is Alfred beating the shit out of Superman.
Right? The headbutt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is that if this was Alfred from the Pennyworth show, he would have actually, if he had the time, he probably would have actually loaded up his shotgun with kryptonite pellets and just blown his head off.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Canary did shoot him at one point too.
Yeah,
Uh,
like she shot him like once, but
yeah.
Alfred would have just unloaded it, unloaded
Yeah.
round after round of kryptonite.
Right. But yeah, like her Canary Cream, like, her he made she made his ears bleed.
Yeah.
Like, she's just the coolest.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's, I really like your picks. I think Barry coming out of the Speed Force and Darkseid Speech is probably my favorite from yours.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of moments, and like you saw, I have the omnibus which has all those tie-ins. I didn't pick any moment from those because I think that would have been cheating. But like included in this omnibus is the Terror Titans miniseries. If you've ever read that one,
Mhm.
they where where the Darkseid Club, even after Darkseid himself disappeared from running the club, they continued in its absence using captured metahuman teens to do a Fight Club thing
Yeah.
where they were testing a primitive version of the anti-life equation to basically just turning them into slaves that were then going to auction off. And also they also had those gladiatorial fights, and then they kept hyping up the champion of the arena, but we never saw who that was. Then finally, and then finally, it turned out to be Static,
Mhm.
and they just know that Ravager just knew she was fucked when she saw. saw who that was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved clocking in that storyline too.
Right.
But yeah, that wasn't part of the main story, so I didn't count any of that.
Yeah.
There was also some parts that I thought were confusing and made no sense, like the Vandal Savage side story was confusing because
Right.
apparently they merged Vandal Savage with another DC character, and I'm not even sure if they were implying that Vandal Savage was that character originally, because that would imply Vandal Savage is way older than he claims to be, or not, because
Mhm.
apparently he got possessed by Kane, but then they kept talking to Savage as if he'd always been Kane.
Right.
So I was like, wait, you're telling me that Vandal Savage was Kane from the Bible story? What?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that.
And then later they had that story lead up to the return of Bruce Wayne, which is a whole other story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not part of Final Crisis, so I didn't count any of that. But yeah, I really loved Batman going to an insane asylum and then rambling about how supposedly there were only like what 47, the minimum of moves you have to make to solve a Rubik's Cube are 47, and then
Mhm.
he solved it in 46.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Uh, Always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I like
Yeah.
that a lot. But yeah, it's dude finding 5 moments in a single story. It was for me. It was challenging.
Yeah.
Just because Injustice, like if you count Ground Zero, it's like in Injustice Two, I guess it's like almost 7 years of story. I think
Hmm.
like
And
it's a
then they
lot
did
to go through.
yeah, and then they did that whole Year Zero thing, which I haven't even read.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot. And even with Final Crisis, I think me not remembering more moments is the only reason I don't I didn't have
Yeah.
more honorable mentions, and that's part of why I didn't pick another storyline.
Hmm.
Like I could have picked Crisis on Infinite Earths because I always liked that one, but that I have way too many storylines in it and way too many favorite moments in it,
Yeah.
and it's not really that good of a story when I think about it. And it's a story that I love
Yeah.
because it's cool, but from a writing standpoint, it's not that great.
Yeah.
And the Arrowverse still made it worse. They took a,
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that. Yeah, because they lack they lack the one aspect that made the original storyline so cool, which is all the cameos
Hmm.
and how everyone, not just all the cameos, but how everyone actually fit into the story and actually did something.
Yeah.
Because like the Arrowverse thing, they showed that yes, those universes exist. Nothing is actually happening on them. They're not part of the story at all. They're just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. They're just there. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, except I think one of the unintentionally funniest moments in the Arrowverse version of the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline is that when they showed the Titan when at the beginning they showed all the universes getting destroyed.
Hmm.
When they showed the Titans one, they used footage from the unused original finale.
Yeah.
So you can take that as yeah, this is why you didn't get to see the original finale because that universe got destroyed. This this is why you didn't get to see Nightwing until season two.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's I almost went with Civil War like we talked about earlier today,
Yeah,
and
I mean I love
just
that one.
because yeah, right? Because like I mentioned before, just having like hero versus hero, and like I remember like Spider-Man was just so conflicted, and like it kind of goes back to like the conversation of
Mhm.
Flash and Superman,
Yeah.
right? So it's just I don't know. I really like stories like that. It makes you think
Mhm.
who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, most of them aren't perfect, but even if they aren't, I think most of them are at least fun enough that they're making you think who's in the right and all that. I think that's cool. And yeah, sometimes they make the characters act out of character to make the story work. And I
Yeah,
mean, in terms of Injustice, that's kind of the point.
right.
So yeah,
I mean, I guess Flashpoint is another example of that too.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
Flashpoint is
Amazon had no reason to go to war whatsoever.
yeah. Flashpoint is one of those storylines where one of the rare times where the animated movie is better.
Yeah,
Not 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 just this, not just the way the story is presented, but the pacing too. The pacing of the comic is way off because
in the Flashpoint.
yeah,
Yeah.
the because the confrontation with Thawne that then ends up with Batman sneaking up behind him and killing him.
Hmm.
That happens before we actually see everyone join the final battle in the
Yeah.
comic.
Yeah. One of my
It
favorite moments from the movie Flashpoint was I had two moments. The first one was we saw Grifter.
yeah,
Like, he doesn't get enough credit as a character. He's really cool. And I love seeing was it Tempest and Black Manta and Deathstroke fight on the same side.
yeah.
That was just such a badass scene to watch. I like that a lot.
Mhm. Well, Deathstroke wasn't on their side; he was fighting against them.
Oh yeah.
Black Manta killed him. But we had Black Manta and we had Tempest and we had Calderam, who wasn't even in the actual comic. They just added him in the movie, which was pretty cool.
Mhm.
They had all of them working for Aquaman, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool. And one thing that I think the comic did better was that they had, before Barry went back in time to stop himself, they had him have a conversation with his mother. I wish they'd had that in the movie, but I
Yeah.
think that probably would have thrown the pacing way off. But
Yeah. No, I think so too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Not like the Injustice movie. I really like the story, I really do, but it doesn't do the comics justice.
the Injustice movie is the Injustice movie is when it tries to adapt the comic, it's awful.
Yeah.
When it decides to do its own thing, like halfway through, it's actually almost tolerable, and I kind of prefer how they handled Superman's eventual defeat by having him realize, holy shit, what the fuck have I done?
Right.
By having him meet an alternate Lois Lane. But that's like the one thing the movie does better.
Yeah.
And I know that the Injustice movie is hated, and the comics aren't that well liked, but like they both have their moments. And yeah, the Injustice comics definitely have a lot of great moments.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are some moments I wasn't a huge fan of. I blame Tom Taylor for that. Like most of DC Twitter apparently does. They blame Tom Taylor for all their problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I like that storyline. I
Yeah. No,
For the most part.
I personally love the Injustice comics. Like, it is, for me
Yeah.
personally, it is like top tier. The movie, not so much, but
Well, I mean,
the story, the idea of the story was there. I do give them
uh,
credit for that, but it did severely lack.
I think they dropped the ball as soon as they killed off Flash because he's supposed to be the one who's the most conflicted of them all.
Right.
And then they gave his role to Mr. Terrific, who was just a good guy from the start, and that just doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they felt they had to change some things to keep to a 75-minute runtime. But again, why would you decide to adapt all 5 years in such a short runtime?
Yeah.
I,
Uh,
I mean, I
I
mean,
think it was necessarily the 5 years here. I think it was just the year one in the one movie.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
well, that's
I
trying to
mean,
fit a whole year into a movie.
yeah, but they also tried to do the game storyline by
Yeah.
having an alternate Superman pulled in.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's like, yeah, why would you try to adapt all of that? Like each year was 13 issues.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Returns was 4 issues, and they made 2 movies to cover that whole story.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah. Like if you're gonna adapt a story that focuses so much on the important details,
Hmm.
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. I'm sorry.
That's right. Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, both are pretty solid stories, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Shame we
Oh, yeah, sorry.
one. I think one moment that might have made the list if it had some more memorable dialogue that aged better, is probably Supergirl versus Mary Marvel. That one was pretty cool, but I just hate the evil Mary Marvel design in the comic.
Hmm.
It's way too edgy,
Yeah. Sorry.
especially because they gave her the perfect design in the Prelude comics, the Countdown comics.
Yeah.
When she got Black Adam's powers, she had the perfect design because it was just the normal outfit but black.
Yeah.
But then with Darkseid's powers, they had her almost bald with pink pigtails. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're just about out of time.
yeah,
So yeah, I think both are super solid stories. We both had some great moments in it. And yeah, I think that kind of concludes this episode. We'll have this uploaded at some point. And we'll come out with another video hopefully soon. All right. Signing off from the Polis and Matt and Chris. Take care.